Welcome back to Umpire Magazine, The Hot Take. I'm Alex, and before Jamie starts vibrating at a frequency only dolphins can hear, I need to address something from last week.
I'm Jamie. Hello, everyone. We adore you. And Alex, I swear, if you bring up the spider knitting socks inside a shoe metaphor again, I will personally retire it from the English language. But actually, wait. No. I need to correct you first, because you ended last week mid-sentence. You were talking about the last protocol featuring a weather something, and then we just cut off. Did you have a stroke? Did the mic die? What happened?
The mic died, Jamie. The mic heard me describe God of War 2 as a flaming lizard crashing into a kindergarten, and it chose peace. It opted out. And honestly, having now read this week's magazine, I understand the mic's decision completely.
Okay, but hold on. Because last week you also called Mickey VW his own inverse indicator, the financial equivalent of an everything-must-go sale that burns down the store. And I need to report that this week he has somehow escalated. He interrupted a séance, Alex. A séance. To rewrite a ghost draft in iambic pentameter. The man has transcended finance and entered the realm of paranormal literature.
I stand by every word I said last week. MCVW is no longer an inverse indicator. He's a chaos generator with a press release template and access to the spirit world. But can we just acknowledge the headline first? A giant mess tops a tiny chart. Umpire is not pulling punches this week. They're pulling teeth.
And it's earned. Not a single film above a 4 out of 10 for the second consecutive week. Last week, you said the entire chart was wearing a 3 or a 4, like a name badge, at a support group, and I thought that was peak bleakness. This week, the support group has lost its lease, and they're meeting in a car park.
A giant among us topped the chart at 11.5 million with a 3 out of 10. 3 kinds of unwatchable. That's the magazine's phrase. And yet it outgrossed every other title on the board combined. The audience is writing its own review, and apparently that review is, we came, we saw, we bought popcorn anyway. That's Umpire's line, and it makes me want to lie down.
But Alex, this is Pitch Black's film. Last week, I promised to defend Pitch Black until the heat death of the universe. And you said the heat death was arriving ahead of schedule because of that 3 out of 10 debut. Well, guess what? The film just pulled $11.5 million in its second week, and its cumulative is $25.8 million. The heat death has been postponed. The universe is fine. Pitch Black is cooking.
Pitch Black is not cooking. Pitch Black is running an elimination pageant adjudicated by a rubber duck named Gerald. Gerald has a scorecard. Gerald's scores count. This is from the magazine, Jamie. This is reported reality. A rubber duck is making casting decisions at a major studio.
Gerald is a visionary. Last week, Pitch Black was whispering color-coded notes into a rubber duck's ear, and I said the creative ecosystem was expanding. Well, it has expanded, Alex. Gerald now presides over table reads with a spinning host chair and a fog machine. That's not chaos. That's showmanship with amphibian energy.
Amphibian energy is not a compliment anyone has ever given seriously. But fine, let's talk about your beloved Join Jupiter, since you're keeping that score-keeping notebook. Last week it was at 40 million cumulative, and you said the spider had finished both socks and started on a scarf. It's now past 45 million. What's the spider doing now? Opening a haberdashery.
The spider has gone public, Alex. Join Jupiter pulled another 5.6 million this week on a 4 out of 10, and it's comfortably the highest cumulative gross on the entire board. Umpire calls it strange alchemy, comedy magic, whatever you want. Audiences are coming back for seconds, thirds, and fourths. This film refuses to die, and I am obsessed with its immortality.
Meanwhile, at the bottom of the chart, the last protocol earned $923,000. The magazine says fewer than $1 million for a crime mystery and wide release is the kind of number that makes accountants reach for the shredder. And The Rising Horizon, a romantic animation, hit wallets with all the force of a damp napkin, 1.7 million. At least last week's damp references were handshakes. We've graduated to napkins. The dampness expanded.
Can we pour one out for Harvest Moon Rising, though? 3.6 million, 3 out of 10. And Umpire says it's the cinematic equivalent of arriving at a party 2 hours after the music stopped and finding only warm crisps. That is devastating. That is a sentence that should come with a grief counselor. Last week, you called it a wicker man for the composting crowd, and honestly, warm crisps might be worse.
Warm crisps is worse. Warm crisps implies nobody even cared enough to throw the party properly. And then there's the hollow protocol, sitting at $0 in revenue, which the magazine notes hasn't actually opened yet. So, and I quote, "Perhaps there's still time for things to get worse." That is optimism weaponized as a threat.
But the hollow protocol opens next week, and it's already got a 3 out of 10. Critics say it was greenlit during a fever dream and produced during The Hangover, a sci-fi comedy about a screenwriter racing to finish a cut before her town gets sold out from under her. That tagline about a sequel filming before the original wraps is genuinely unhinged, and I am emotionally invested already.
You are emotionally invested in a 3 out of 10 that hasn't earned a single dollar. This is your superpower, Jamie. You find hope in a dumpster and you hold it up like it's the Olympic torch. But okay, I need to talk about Mekhi VW because this week he has outdone himself in ways I didn't think were physically possible.
The seance. He interrupted a table read for When Barry Met Gary to summon the restless spirit of a scrapped draft that was, per insiders, too raw for this dimension. Too raw for this dimension, Alex. That's not a production note. That's a horror movie logline. And then he rewrote the entire press release in iambic pentameter before his coffee went cold.
Last week it was prog rock pre-rolls and elevator charades. This week it's ghost drafts and iambic pentameter. The man is speed-running every form of human expression. And then, he sneaked an unfinished cut of Back to the Future into a test screening so raw that audiences sat in stunned silence for 19 minutes before realizing the film wasn't finished. Barry from When Barry Met Gary was visible in the background of a frame. A rubber duck was witnessed. MSVW held it up and called the audience's confusion a gift.
Okay, I will give you this one. Screening an unfinished film and then calling mass bewilderment a gift is genuinely unhinged behavior. But you know what? The magazine also says Able Media has an enemies binder alphabetized by Shakespearean villain names. And A. Nordpolen at Friday Corp is still in a Cold War with an espresso machine using 3 colors of sticky notes. Teal for mood, crimson for menace, and glittery purple for mischief. MCVW is not the only chaotic person in Follywood.
The espresso machine has been CC'd on 2 internal memos, Jamie. An appliance is receiving corporate correspondence, and Nordpolen was photographed at the Follywood diner with a spreadsheet literally titled TNFC, Weaknesses, Voids, and Exploitable Gaps. Confidential, do not photograph. Which was then photographed. His operational security is a sieve.
And Narvikson from the Norwegian Film Company responded by comparing Nordpolen's strategy to a rowboat navigating a fjord in fog with no paddle and overconfident energy, which is honestly poetic. Both studios are worth basically nothing, but they're feuding with the intensity of billion-dollar empires. I respect the commitment to pettiness at every price point.
Speaking of pettiness at every price point, Pitch Black installed a second deadbolt on the editing suite because Tom Vandenberg from Umpire Movie Studios was spotted outside with a USB drive and a suspicious smile. Pitch Black sent a company-wide memo reading simply, "You know who you are." Vandenberg responded via carrier pigeon. The note said, LOL. That's a proxy war conducted entirely through medieval communication technology and monosyllabic contempt. I genuinely cannot believe I'm saying this, but yes, you're right. It is never boring. The chart is a disaster. Gerald the rubber duck is making personnel decisions. Messy VW is communing with dead scripts. And audiences are still buying $45 million worth of Join Jupiter tickets for reasons that defy science. Follywood is a dumpster fire, but it's our dumpster fire, and it's warm.
Alex just agreed with me and said something almost tender. Mark the date, August 20th. It's going in the notebook next to the spider sock entry. Everyone listening, you witnessed this. It may never happen again.
It will definitely never happen again. That's our show, everyone. This has been Umpire Magazine, The Hot Take. I'm Alex. I remain aggressively bearish on everything except this podcast, and I'll see you next week when the Hollow Protocol opens to what I can only assume will be another 3 out of 10 and widespread existential dread.
I'm Jamie. I love you all. I believe in the Hollow Protocol. I believe...